Protests in Gaza over dire humanitarian situation, while Israeli reports show Hamas carried out sexual violence during the October 7 attacks. Displaced Palestinian children in the southern Gaza city of Rafah protested in support of other children suffering from hunger and Israeli attacks in the northern part of the Strip. Local media said on Wednesday the young demonstrators chanted and held signs reading out "Children are dying of hunger" and calling for the end of the war. While in Israel, the Association of Rape Crisis Centers says evidence shows systematic and intentional sexual violence during the Hamas attacks on October 7th.
It's not a quantitative research, it's actually understanding the practices of the Hamas. And when you look at it and when you understand it, you can't believe it. I don't think in the recent history and even in past history, things happened in a few hours in such a sadistic, brutal way. The findings are that the Hamas terrorists did systematic work. The horrific atrocities did not happen in one place, it happened all over.
Plumes of smoke were seen rising over the northern part of the Gaza Strip on Thursday as Israel continues its military offensive in the besieged territory. New attempts are underway to reach a ceasefire deal between Israel and Hamas that could pause the war in Gaza, a member of Israel's war cabinet said late Wednesday.
Alexei Navalny's mother has finally been able to see the body of her son. In a video statement from the Arctic city posted on Navalny's YouTube channel, Lyudmila Navalnaya said she's resisting strong pressure by authorities to agree to a secret burial of her son.
Вместо этого они шантажируют меня, ставят мне условия, где, когда и как должен быть похоронен Алексей. Это незаконно.
On Wednesday, Navalny's mother filed a lawsuit at a court in Salikard contesting officials' refusal to release her son's body. A closed-door hearing has been scheduled for March 4th. On Tuesday, she appealed to Russian President Vladimir Putin to release her son's remains so that she could bury him with the dignity he deserves. Russia's Supreme Court upheld a ruling to bar opposition candidate Boris Nadezhdin from taking part in Russia's presidential elections, scheduled for the 15th of March. The Central Election Commission has already rejected the 9,000 signatures from Russians across the country that supported the liberal candidate. With this new decision, the Supreme Court removed Putin's last remaining significant challenger in the elections. Nadezhdin had made ending the conflict in Ukraine his main campaign slogan.
Russian Chief of the General Staff, Army General Valery Gerasimov, claimed that Russian forces seized Avdiivka within, quote, a fairly short time that was preceded by a long period of preparation. Russian Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu similarly attempted to downplay heavy Russian losses and the difficulty of seizing Avdiivka during a meeting with Russian President Vladimir Putin on the 20th of February. Portraying the seizure of the town as an astounding success with minimal losses, despite the fact that the 4-month-long operation resulted in an estimated 16,000 to 47,000 Russian personnel losses, says the Institute for the Study of War. The think tank adds Russian forces recently marginally advanced northwest of Avdiivka and have likely finished clearing operations in the town. Positional battles continued northwest of Avdiivka near Stepove and Lastochkine, west of Avdiivka near Severne, and southwest of Avdiivka near Pervomayske and Nevelske. Russian mill bloggers claim that Russian forces are trying to build and stabilize a new line of defense in the Avdiivka direction. Ukrainian officials denied a recent New York Times report that Russian forces may have captured hundreds of Ukrainian soldiers during Ukraine's withdrawal from Avdiivka, saying that Russian forces did capture some Ukrainian soldiers, but the reports about hundreds of Ukrainians being taken prisoner or otherwise being unaccounted for are false. The Institute for the Study of War has still not observed any open-source evidence of Russian forces taking large numbers of Ukrainian forces prisoner.
Dense forest along Poland's 418-kilometer with Belarus, now separated by a heavily guarded iron fence. Last week, Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk announced he would beef up security on this border, an operation Baltic countries and Finland plan to support.
Telemetry control system will propose also rotating camera system to monitor the migrants' movements, and of course we will gather, and we gathered already, the experiences of the border guards and other services from the last 2 years, and of course we will cooperate with the other services of our alliances countries.
Estonia, like Poland, is a NATO member and makes up part of the military alliance's eastern flank against Russia. Tallinn's ambassador to Poland says Moscow's intentions should not be underestimated.
The report of Estonian Foreign Intelligence, how Russia will probably reconstitute its military capabilities in 3 to 4 years, it is an important factor, but it also depends on our side. If we are able to help Ukraine enough so that they will win, that will also change Russia's plans. And there, Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania and Poland, we have assumed this sort of leadership role that we have to be the ones who are also trying to inspire the others, that they would also move with the speed of relevance.
The EU has long accused both Russia and Belarus of pushing illegal migrants across its borders, but disinformation about the intentions of NATO members is also a concern.
Rosja będzie cały czas prowadzić przeciwko państwom NATO i wschodniej flanki NATO działania destabilizacyjne i cały czas powtarzają, że to Polska ma zapędy imperialne i Polska chciałaby zająć na przykład część Ukrainy albo część Białorusi. Więc to są takie działania, po pierwsze, w pewien sposób przekonujące opinię publiczną w Rosji i na Białorusi, żeby właśnie mieć więcej armii.
The issue of regulating the situation on the EU eastern borders seems to be crucial not only in terms of migration, but in terms of common security system and response strategy. Magdalena Hodownik for Euronews from Warsaw.
Delivery riders and gig workers from different European countries protested in front of the European Parliament in Brussels on Thursday, demanding better working conditions and legal protections. They are warning against what they call, quote, the Uberization of European economies. One of them, Ben Ali, walked more than 100 kilometres from Lille to Brussels to raise awareness of the situation faced by platform workers.
On a 2 camarades qui sont morts la semaine dernière. Un livreur qui s'est fait écraser par un poids lourd à Lille et un camarade qui s'est fait tuer parce qu'on voulait voler son véhicule, on lui a tiré dessus.
Platform workers are mostly treated as self-employed, although their work is overseen by platforms such as Uber or Deliveroo. Despite them doing similar work to full-time employees, they have limited social and pensions rights. The EU was willing to improve their situation with the Platform Work Directive, but 4 member states derailed the political agreement before its final approval.
On s'adresse à la France, mais on s'adresse aussi à la Grèce, à l'Allemagne, à l'Estonie, pour dire qu'ils ne peuvent pas, comme ça, empêcher des millions de travailleurs, pour un caprice, empêcher des millions de travailleurs d'obtenir des droits. À quelques mois des élections européennes, ce serait une décision incompréhensible et scandaleuse.
If approved, the directive will change the lives of around 5.5 million people. Currently, more than 28 million people are working as part of the gig economy.
Ethnic Serbs in Kosovo are lining up to withdraw money in the dinar currency following a ban implemented by the Kosovan government. The Serbian minority and Albanians in the country are facing difficulty in getting the currency after a February 1st ruling made the euro the only currency in the country.
Prosvetni radnici stalno uče decu o pravu i pravdi, a mi se evo svakodnevno suočavamo sa nepravdom. Međunarodna zajednica mora ozbiljno da se uključi i da riješi ovaj problem isplate zarada i za zaposlene u prosveti, i za penzionere, i za sve ostale, za socijalna davanja i da riješimo konačno taj problem.
The Kosovan government has been invited to a meeting in Brussels next week, but so far has refused to back down from the ruling.
The use of smartphones and tablets will be banned in Italian classrooms, even for teaching purposes, under new guidelines that will be put into place in the upcoming weeks. Education Minister Giuseppe Valditara said in an interview with newspaper Il Foglio published Thursday. The ban, which includes students from kindergarten, primary and lower secondary schools, extends an existing ban on the non-academic use of smart devices introduced in Italy in 2007 that has not always been enforced.
The body of acclaimed poet and resistance fighter Misach Manouchian and his wife were transferred to the Pantheon Wednesday evening. Manouchian, a poet who survived the Armenian genocide and took refuge in France, was executed in 1944 for being a leader of the resistance to the Nazi occupation. He is the first foreigner in France to be inducted into the Pantheon. The ceremony takes place as France prepares to mark the 80th anniversary of D-Day. Belgium is celebrating 100 years of surrealism with a unique exhibition dedicated to the avant-garde movement. The exhibition is in the context of the Belgian presidency of the Council of the European Union. Two exhibitions, one at the Brussels Arts Centre Bazaar and the other at the Royal Museum of Fine Arts, are bringing together international surrealist artists. The exhibitions hope to illustrate the importance of the surrealist movement.